Hello, planeswalkers, or just normal humans, I won't judge. Gather around the fire and listen to this tale as old as the blind eternities. We'll take a look at one of the most terrible beings to ever bring pestilence upon our worlds. Yes, one of the three great Eldrazi, but I won't speak its name yet. Instead, I'll pivot away from this storyteller persona and discuss our subjects like I usually would. There are plenty of terrifying beings in the Magic the Gathering universe, but maybe none so awful and mind-rending as the Eldrazi. These multidimensional Lovecraftian beings exist to corrupt and destroy, and ever since they were locked away on Zendikar by the Three, nobody has been able to beat them in a decisive manner. Okay, sure, in the battle for Zendikar, two Eldrazi were defeated in physical form, but we'll get there in a second. In the meanwhile, let your fear compound and your hopes drain away. Hello fellow friends and philosophers, and welcome to the most mind-bending channel on YouTube, Life's Biggest Questions. I'm your voice in the void, Keegan Hughes, and today we're taking a look at a question that would get you turned into chalky white lattice work. What if Ulamog was real? Before we don our bone mask, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more magic madness. Let's get started. If you haven't seen our video on Emrakul, then you might not know what the Eldrazi are. You can go check that out now if you want a more in-depth version. In 20 words or less, they are ancient beings native to the blind eternities, a place outside of physical space. They exist to consume, corrupt, and destroy. Okay, I think that was exactly 20 words. So the Eldrazi, being cosmic horrors, basically drain worlds of all their mana and energy and then move on to the next. The three Eldrazi Titans are the most powerful and have control over the rest of the Eldrazi brood. There is Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, the Titan of Corruption. Then there's Kozilek, the Butcher of Truth, the Titan of Distortion. And finally, the subject of today's video, Ulamog, Infinite Gyre, the Titan of Consumption. Of the three Titans, Ulamog is the smallest. This does not mean that it's the least dangerous or the weakest though. And even if it did, the weakest Eldrazi Titan has enough power to tear entire worlds apart. Ulamog and all of its brood have heads that resemble bony helmets but lack eyes or expressions. It is still unknown how Ulamog navigates, as there do not appear to be any sort of sensory organs anywhere on its form. Most of its body consists of exposed muscle and is covered with bony plates. Moving around on a writhing mass of tentacles, Ulamog is also studded with bony spikes below the torso. These appendages twist and undulate beneath its form, carrying it wherever it needs to go. To add even more limbs to the equation, Ulamog also has two arms that split into four more at the elbow. The stench of rotten meat, decay, and sulfur surrounds it constantly, leading to another name being attributed to this Eldrazi, the Reeking Titan. Fitting, don't you think? As the Titan of Consumption, Ulamog and its brood consume living and unliving matter alike. Its processors transform the consumed energy into spell-like effects that defy all understanding. Plagues are created, deadly parasites are brought forth, and endlessly teeming spawn cover the earth. These beings drain all of the energy from everything they come in contact with, leaving behind distinctive white, chalky, lattice-like structures in their wake. This lattice structure is typical of Eldrazi destruction. Everything, even water, is transformed into a white, manaless husk of what it once was. Even water. Imagine that, a husk of water. Before Ulamog, I just thought that a husk meant something that was totally waterless, but now it goes even deeper. My brain can't keep up. Ulamog is emblematic of plague, the blind bonds between parasite and host, and overabundance. It is creation and destruction wrapped together in unholy matrimony. One might be even so bold as to compare Ulamog's ceaseless hunger and subsequent creation of consumers to those same traits in humanity. Don't think too hard or you might want to leave the planet. So what if Ulamog was real? What if the ceaseless hunger popped in for a visit on our dear sweet planet Earth? Well, we'd be screwed, that's what would happen. Each of the Eldrazi Titans can spawn its own lineage, armies of children to perform various tasks on the way to the total annihilation of a world. These little gaffers are weaker than the actual Titans, but share many characteristics with their progenitors. Ulamog's brood tends to be dense masses of fleshy tentacles, just like their daddy. They have limbs that split at the elbow, as well as the iconic eyeless, bony plates for faces. No skin, exposing their muscle and bone as well. These Eldrazitas exist just to consume the land as quickly and efficiently as possible, with no semblance of subtlety. There are plenty of different varieties of these broodlings as well, ranging from food for the bigger boys, to fighters, to things meant to cull all living beings who may oppose the unstoppable spread of pestilence. There are even variations known as the Fathom Feeders, who are specialized in infiltrating the deep seas. Once they get going, there is no avoiding them. All of these spawn give Zendikar little to no chance of survival, so what makes you think that Earth would be any hardier? We don't even have planeswalkers to call upon when times get tough, at least none that I know of. So when Ulamog manifests itself on Earth, we are in for a bad time. Ulamog itself would undulate through densely populated areas, sending its tiny minions to cull, kill, eviscerate, and drain the life force of anything that moves or doesn't move. Even as humans begin to adapt, as they so often do, things like disease and plague would spread as well. Parasites like the Dominator drone would attach themselves to living hosts and use those hosts to wreak havoc among the unafflicted. Mana and vital energy would be drained, and white shells would be left behind, devoid of anything that might constitute energy. Overconsumption would take on a whole new meaning as humans watched everything around them crumble. The overwhelming stink of it all wouldn't help either. It would be difficult to fight back against the ceaseless hunger, as the very resources required to fight back would be consumed right before our very eyes. Water, food, fuel, minerals, all drained of their attributes that make them useful. We would be left with a barren wasteland where nothing could possibly live or grow. Even our greatest weapons, like nuclear warheads, would be rendered useless, as Ulamog and its brood would just sap the vast energy from those too. It would be a difficult fight to win, for sure. The fight for Zendikar and the magic cannon involved the apparent deaths of not only one, but two Eldrazi though, so why don't we look to that story for some help. Ulamog ended up being the only Titan on Zendikar for a couple of years after Emrakul and Kozilek vanished. After inadvertently creating a race of vampires, Ulamog rose up to blight and ravage the planet. Eventually some planeswalkers decided to step in and come with a plan, and it almost worked. Unfortunately, Ob Nixilis interfered and allowed Kozilek to jump back into the fray before Gideon Jura could lay a finishing blow on Ulamog. Then everyone had to fight two Eldrazi, and somehow they came up with a last-ditch plan to take him down, and it worked. No important casualties, just red shirts. Isn't it nice when things just work out? They didn't even need to use colorless magic to do it. So yeah, if Ulamog was real, all we would ever really need to do is let Deus Ex Machina take over and we'd be good to go. God from the machine, baby. Who needs a well thought out conclusion when we can just wish it away? Although the consequences for taking down an Eldrazi in physical form may be yet unrealized. Who knows if they still have parts of themselves in other dimensions or back in the blind eternities? Can an Eldrazi really die? Maybe someday we'll find out. But for now, we can all definitely agree that if Ulamog was indeed real, it would be a very bad thing. We would have our life forces drained before breakfast, unfortunately. Dang. What do you think? Would Ulamog's emergence cause a different chain of events to happen? Which is your favorite of the three Eldrazi Titans? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's have a look at some of your more ethereal ones from What If We Nuked the Sun? Jeg Dude says, just attack at night. This man is a genius. Military tactics level 100. Give him a seat at the negotiation table. Mdigo Spack says, answer, nothing. We just get rid of the nukes. Ideal for waste disposal. Which is a big plus when you think about it. Now all we have to do is convince everyone that it's a good idea. Topsy Crypt says, how long would it take to deliver a pizza to the sun? 30 minutes or less, or else it's free. I'm sure Uber Eats could find a driver willing to do it. Will Klein says, not against the idea entirely, but maybe instead of shooting the nukes into the sun, how about we just disarm them and put them in a museum? And then we could name the museum The Sun, and our question would be answered. If we put nukes in the sun, people would just come and visit. Andrew Coop says, nah, the aliens would stop the nuke before it hit the sun. I think I like this answer the best. Then we would finally confirm the existence of extraterrestrial life. And that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.